Welcome everyone to our Study Abroad podcast series. So, today we have our special guest Drishti, who actually moved to Netherlands when she was 4, and she has been studying there since then. And we'll be knowing about her journey of schooling in Netherlands till now. So, welcome, Drishti.
Thank you for having me.
So, Drishti, please tell us about your very kindergarten and your primary education that you had in Netherlands. Which city did you live initially in your first 10 years of your life?
So I lived in The Hague, which is the political city, I think, of the Netherlands. I was put in international preschool, kindergarten and primary school and high school. Everything has been the international curriculum. So I've always had Indian people around me, people of many other cultures. Yeah, so it's been really good. I've had a lot of exposure, I think,
So
growing up here.
the international school you were in, it was following a curriculum of some country, or which curriculum did it
It
follow?
was the IB curriculum. Perhaps
Okay.
you know it, the
Yeah,
International Baccalaureate. And
yeah.
so IB curriculum also has for primary, um, like a version of it, and there's middle years program. So it all just kind of led up to the International Baccalaureate in the end.
So people who usually do this IB is kind of preparing themselves to go to UK, kind of like that's like one of the option usually for people, right? So in your case, as you mentioned offline, that you continued your college and course in Netherlands only. So after doing IB, did you not think that you are not saturated with Netherlands and you should explore other country as such? Why you chose Netherlands for your bachelor's that time?
Well, mostly to stay close to home because I know that the Netherlands has very, very top quality universities. And this way I get to stay close to my family and close to my home. And one huge aspect is, of course, the fees. I have a Dutch passport. So for me, it's much more economical to be studying within Europe and within my own country. I get many benefits out of that. That was one of the
Okay.
biggest reasons. And of course, I think I will consider it for my master's. So for my further studies, I will be considering the UK or the US. But for now, I always knew I would stay in the Netherlands. And the idea behind IB being preparing for the UK or the US isn't such a heavy concept in the Netherlands. Most people that I graduated with studied here as well.
Okay, okay. So in your classroom, what kind of demographics you had in your IB curriculum? Like what countries, what nationalities people were they? Like origin wise, passport, obviously they may have a different passport.
Every country, I can say that, from across the whole world, it was very international. My school did have quite a lot of Indian people as well. Indian people that had just recently moved, but Indian people like me that had grown up here. We had lots of Europeans, so Spanish, Italian, from within Europe, but also Americans and Latin Americans. So I would say very, very international.
So your class
I
has
can,
like 40, 50 people. How many
uh,
students studied in your class?
my class in high school or my
Yeah,
class,
school. Yeah, school.
so we had, I believe until J, so we had in one classroom around 20 students, mentor classroom, but in total we had much more.
Sure, sure. So you were mainly studying with 20 students at a time, right? Like
Yes.
sections
Yes,
wise.
yes.
And did
Mhm.
the section got shuffled as you grew up, or it was almost the same section for till 12th or something?
So once we got into, so year 12 and 13 is the diploma program. For that, you stay in the same class for 2 years. But before that, every year you change your classes, you change your teachers and your mentor classes. That changes every year until the end. The last 2 years you stick with the same people because it's almost like a combined course.
So you always had a change of classmates, like every year there was a shuffling of classmates.
Yes, kind of. Well, it wasn't always, let's say, all 20 people are now different. It would often be like five people are new or five people moved to another class. It wasn't very drastic of a change.
Okay, okay. So like 10, 11 years you were doing this kind of shuffling, and after that 2, 3 years you were like pretty much in the same classmate kind of
Well,
environment.
I wouldn't say 10, 11 years. So in secondary school, for the first 5 years, 5, 6 years, that was the shuffling. And then the last 2 years, there was no shuffling. And in primary school, there was no shuffling at all. In primary school, you stay in the same class the whole time, for me, in my school.
So your experience wise, no shuffling, and then no shuffling. How do you see the pros and cons of this shuffling versus no shuffling?
Well, I think the shuffling is good because through the shuffling, I've met some of my very, very good friends, which if my class had never been shuffled, I would have never met them. And even so many things that I'm currently interested in, hobbies, I've learned from people I've met. And through shuffling, I've been able to meet various different people and learn various different things. So I do think shuffling is really good. But on the other side, I think it's nice to have that security going into the next year, not only with your classmates, but when you have the same teacher, when you establish kind of in a year you establish a relationship with your teacher, it's nice to have that security the next year that you know this teacher knows you and you know them and you know how to learn from them and they know how to teach you well. So I think it has its pros and cons on both sides. I like that it gave me the exposure I needed, and then when I needed security, it provided me security as well.
Sure, sure. So initially, for the primary education, you had no shuffling, so you would have made some friends, right? Like in your class. Did you
Yes.
ever felt that you are attracted towards your roots always?
Um, Actually, no, not really, because I've I can't say that I've been specifically friends with just Indian people growing up. It's always just been I'm attracted to whoever has similar tastes to me, whoever thinks the same way as me when you're younger, whoever wants to play the same game, who has the same favorite color. It's mostly been like that. But yeah, when I do meet someone Indian in my class, of course you click much quicker. You know, you start speaking Hindi together. You have many more things in common, which is it's always very nice, but it's not always that we have the same things in common.
So you moved at the age of 4 and you had your schooling initially. Did you have Hindi as a subject in your school, or it was just at your home you were learning it?
No, I did have growing up on the side from a separate tutor, Hindi lessons, so to read and write. But after a couple years, I think she moved back to India, and I didn't have anything after that.
So it was just like a tutor-wise side, not from the school side.
Not from the school. I do know now my school does offer Hindi lessons, but they didn't offer it at the time that I was there.
Okay, okay, sure,
So
sure. And your home and school, is there like a rule that your school has to be in the very vicinity of 1 or 2 kilometers or something? Is there like a any distance rule?
no, it's a private school. So I think whoever just you have a waiting list and stuff, whoever just gets their name can go. I live like around 40 minutes from my high school. So it's definitely not anything to do with distance or anything.
But the state schools usually have this kind of rule, right? Like the government schools in the Netherlands, maybe.
Perhaps. I'm not very well acquainted with the rules and regulations of the local schools here.
Sure, sure. And what subjects did you study in your last 2, 3 years of your high school or the like
Um,
12th,
I
12th,
studied,
13th year?
yes, sorry, I cut you off. Are you familiar with how the IBDP
Yeah. So
works?
could you throw some light on the IB curriculum? Like what happens exactly in the last 2, 3 years? What subjects can you choose and what are the options? Or, I mean, is it IB the same throughout the world or is it like slightly different here and there? Like you said, Hindi is offered now, but it was not you offered before. So which means there is a bit of a flexibility on languages also and something like that. So
Yes.
maybe best you can jot down your experience. Obviously, there could be variations here and there.
So in the IB curriculum, you have the DP program and you have the CP program. The DP program provides you with a diploma, and what you do is you choose three higher level subjects. So it's more difficult and you go more in depth, and then you choose three standard level subjects. And on top of that, you have to write an extended essay and a TOK essay, which is a theory of knowledge. I took as my higher level classes, I took business management, economics, and English language and literature higher level. And standard level, I took mathematics A&A, which is analysis and approaches. It's a little bit more like calculus minded, and there's another branch which is more on the calculator statistics side. And I took physics and Dutch B. Those were my subject choices.
So Dutch, you are now very fluent in Dutch now.
Yes, I'm fluent in Dutch.
So you know English, Dutch, little bit of Hindi. Any other language?
Yeah. And my mom, she's from Nepal, so I can also understand Nepalese, yeah.
Okay,
And
okay.
in high school, I learned Spanish for 5 years, so a little bit of that as well.
You can understand at least if not very fluent in speaking.
Yes, exactly.
Sure, sure. And while growing up, because Netherlands is so strategically located, and there is this Schengen visa, or the even like now you have Dutch passport, you would be traveling to a lot of places. So you did a lot of learning while traveling, kind of thing here and there.
Yes, well, with my school, I would have done a lot of traveling, but actually the prime years of traveling, they fell under COVID. So most of my school trips were canceled. But I did travel. I travel with my family a lot and with my friends. So in Europe, I've been almost everywhere. And with my family, we travel to India and to the US quite a lot. So a lot of traveling. We take advantage of the passport privileges, yeah.
So have you ever counted how many countries you have traveled so far, or it's a bit of a rough
Uh,
estimate?
oh, I'm not sure that I've counted, but I visited quite a few countries. I think I've most of Europe I've covered. Um, and then I used to live before I moved to the Netherlands. We used to live in Turkey and Dubai. And then there's India and the US. So quite
And
a bit of travel.
you were born in which country? Like, were you born in India or you were born somewhere
Yeah,
out of India?
my parents, they were living in Nigeria and they came to India so I could be born there. And almost 1 month later, we moved to Turkey and then to Dubai and then here.
So did you also visit Turkey? That this is the place you are born, kind of?
I wasn't born in Turkey, but
Oh, I mean, yeah, I
I
mean, like more like very childhood, let's say, first years.
yeah, I've never gone back after that, but my parents have on vacation.
Sure, sure. And India, which places do you visit in India? Which locations?
So my grandparents, they're in near Delhi in Gurgaon. So we go there like as the base, but every time we go to India, we always do like some holiday. So we go Agra or Rajasthan, or last time we went to Bangalore and Kerala. So it's like all over India, just kind of touristing around.
And do you also visit Nepal, like your maternal
Yes.
family?
Yes, we do. So usually when we go to India, it's you can fly from Delhi. So we do that as well. It gets combined often.
So which countries did you like the most so far? Like, let's say, except India, which falls in your roots, maybe.
Well, of course, I'll say Nepal. I think Nepal is incredibly beautiful. Um, in terms of places that I visited, um, oh, I'm not sure. I don't know how I would say.
Any
Like,
top three picks, like Iceland, let's say, example,
well, I've
Switzerland,
never been
maybe.
to Switzerland. Switzerland is very beautiful. I really liked the south of France. So, Monaco, Nice, I would say that would be one of the most beautiful places I visited. And in the US, just San Francisco, it's very beautiful, and Santa Cruz, LA, I think they would also come in my top three.
Sure, sure. And I think when you are traveling to so many places, there is always a bit of a learning. Like, let's say 1% better, your knowledge is increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing, and then at some point maybe you are seeing some uncommon things. So did you
Yes.
see an upgrade in your personality, your knowledge with every time you travel somewhere?
Well, if there's one thing that I've learned is the drastic difference in culture. I can say there's a huge difference in culture between Europe and with the US, and the same with India. Um, Hospitality is a huge, huge difference. Hospitality, the more you go towards Asia, is incredibly luxurious and it's just amazing as a whole. in comparison to hospitality here. Um, in terms of learnings, I don't know. I think just culture, just I've learned how people interact, how to interact with people. Dutch people are quite direct. So I know how I should be communicating with them and what I should expect back. British people, they sugarcoat quite a lot. So it's just how to interact with people and,
Sure, sure.
respect culture at the same time.
So, European culture and American culture, like, in India, people usually just refer to all of them as pretty much a Western culture. But like you said, and I agree because I have also traveled, the European culture and the American culture is not exactly the same. So, what are the
No.
key differences that you notice, let's say, European culture, yeah, like East European, let's say, UK
Mhm.
versus US? Like, according to you, your personal experience, your own examples, what are the key
Uh,
differences that you see?
well, one thing is just the people as a whole. I can't speak for all of the US because in the US as well, the culture varies. I've been only to the West Coast, so and to Texas. So there people are incredibly friendly. Um, in terms of, for example, here, if I'm walking on the street and I ask my friend something, nobody's going to be listening. No one's going to say something. It's very, very common in the US. I'm talking to my sister, I'm talking to my uncle, and someone just says, like, jumps in and answers my question or tries to help, which in the Netherlands, it would be considered rude because it's eavesdropping. But in the US, it's just polite and it's friendly, and people you go to the shop and they will always make a conversation with you. Have a lovely day. What did you do today? Here's the price. Have a nice day. And it kind of ends there. So one of the things I've experienced is just how much more friendly people are, at least in the West Coast. Um, there's not a lot of like unnecessary interactions here in the Netherlands. Another thing is tipping culture, which is probably really well known. It's not exactly expected here to tip, and if you do tip, it's when your service is, exceptional. And when you do tip, it's not like 20% expected from you. It's usually you round up, it's a couple euros. In the US, you have to calculate 20% on top of the price you're paying, which is another thing that I find quite different. And again, it's just a culture thing. It's not like a legally mandated rule. It's just people expect this within their society.
And what about UK? Like, do you see Netherlands and UK a bit different or similar almost?
Yes. So again, Dutch people specifically, we're quite direct. So we will just tell you what we're thinking. In my experience, British people, this is again a stereotype, but I've experienced this as well, are more they sugarcoat things. So they'll really beat around the bush. They'll say it in a much nicer way. It can be from, does my outfit look good? A Dutch person will just say no. This does not look good on you. And in the UK, they might be like, oh, I think this color looks better, just a politer way to go about it. But people are quite polite in my experience. But yeah,
For sure.
again, this is my experience, and I know there's people that in the Netherlands that are probably more nice, more sugarcoating in that behalf, and British people that are more direct.
Yeah, but your
Yeah.
experience was like when you met them, these were the first things you observed that in US people are like very proactive kind of in terms of helping, whereas UK people are more sugarcoating or like the nicer way to say things. And
And within, sorry,
yeah, yeah, please
within
continue.
there's still, it's the same, I can also say the same thing about if I compare Italian, like when I visit Italy and when I visit Germany or France, Italian people are more welcoming and warm. So when you, for example, you go to a cafe and you try to say something in their language, they will always really, really welcome it. Meanwhile, for example, German people, in my experience, are not as welcoming of tourists and of you, just trying to learn their language or trying to communicate with them. So I think these are things that just are really, really region based, which is why I think in the US as well, I'm speaking just California and Texas,
Yeah.
it
What
changes.
about the tallest nature of body?
Yeah, well, Dutch people are very tall. This is a fact. I'm the shortest in my friend group always. Um, I'm not sure. I think it comes from just a lot of dairy is consumed here. cheese, yogurt, milk. It's a part of the everyday diet. But it's not like, you're walking and everyone is super tall. It's just on average taller than you would expect, for example, in India.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And did you see this kind of thing in any other country? Like people are quite tall?
Um, no, but I did see in Nepal people are much shorter, for example. So, like I've seen in Nepal, like on average, people are much shorter. I brought one of my best friends, she came with me to Nepal. And so all the doors, she had to bend her head to get through all the doors and stuff.
I
So
guess the
then you
same
see
problem. Same
an
problem would have
average.
happened when they're sleeping also. Then the beds would be not that long.
Yes, yes, exactly. And when we went to visit the temples and stuff, all the doors I can just walk through, and she would have to like bend, and she hit her head almost everywhere. So that's when you really see the difference in average height.
Sure, sure, sure. So that's like one stereotype or like a DNA thing for Netherlands that usually people are tall and anyone from India or other places go there, they will usually find themselves a bit shorter than the average.
100%. The Netherlands, especially in Amsterdam, it's quite international. So you actually will not be seeing that many local Dutch people to feel that, much shorter, just on the streets.
Sure, sure, sure. And so coming to your college decision, you chose economics as your major, right? But you
Yes.
had other subjects in your 11th and 12th. So what made you choose economics over the other subjects? How was your decision making from the IB syllabus to the bachelor major?
So well, I actually originally chose business. But for me, it didn't really speak to me. I didn't find it very interesting. I think I chose economics because it's a little bit more of a challenge, and you can really see what it's doing. You can see it on a graph. It's a mathematical formula or a calculation, which for me speaks to me more. And I think it gives me the doors and the options for what I want to do with my career in the end. So I think it's more practical and challenging, which is why I chose economics.
So you chose business first and you tried to study business first and then you moved to economics, or how was it?
Yeah. Yeah, so I chose business because everyone says economics is a very difficult bachelor. It's a lot of math. It's going to be very difficult. So it's better you do business. It gives you the same options, in life. And so I took business, but even though it was easier and, less math, it wasn't interesting to me. I didn't enjoy studying it and I didn't see myself learning a lot. So I switched to economics this year.
Okay, so you are allowed to switch subjects after 1 year or 6 months. How is it? What is the rule like?
You just restart, basically.
Okay, so you like sort of spent 1 year doing business and then you restarted with economics. And so this
Yes.
wasn't this a bit of a harsh decision also with you? Like, I mean, after spending 1 year in business and then like
Yeah.
restarting your bachelor's again in economics, how did you decide this exactly? As in, like, your parents or your seniors here and there, what was who all like supported and who all were like a bit frowning with this decision, let's say, at your
Well,
home or
actually,
with friends?
everybody supported me. They just made sure that I was sure with what I was doing. um, letting me know this is what you're doing, these are the consequences, this is what you'll gain. But it was actually my father's idea that I switched to another course because my parents could see, I didn't need to study. I would go into my exam, I just had to read a book before, and I wasn't learning anything. I didn't need to study, I didn't need to go to class so often. So they saw that I was not enjoying my course very much, I was not learning very much. So it was actually my parents' idea. And then after that, it became a discussion of what should I study and what does this mean? And my school was is very it's very common actually. People switch after the first year. So in terms of frowning, it wasn't too bad.
You had
But
economics as your subject in your high school?
yes, that's why I chose economics here because I knew how it went and I knew I thought it was interesting.
And you were getting, let's say, the marks and the grades that time. So economics was one of the good subjects in your kitty.
Yes. So the thing is, business was like the best, and then economics was a little bit lower. That's why I chose business. But it was the best because it's easier, not because it was interesting. So that's kind of what I chose between I need to study what I'm interested in rather than what's just easy for me to do.
So after 1 year, you realize that you are probably overqualified for business.
I wouldn't say overqualified. I just don't think it matches my interests very much. I don't sit in lectures and enjoy what I'm learning. Um, yeah, and it actually took me, I think, almost 2, 3 months, and I already knew I didn't like it. And I just made the decision after 5 months, I think, into the course already, 5, 6 months, and I already knew that I'm not going to continue this
So it
course.
was pretty much like, dating this subject for a year and then you realizing, okay, this is something, I
Yes,
cannot pursue for
exactly.
marriage at
Yes.
least.
Now that I've started this economics course, I can say, it's so much more difficult and it's so much more serious, but I actually enjoy it. Like, I look forward to going to class and I want to pay attention because I know it's something that I need to pay attention. I'm learning it. So I'm really happy that I made that decision in the end.
Okay, okay. So the second date is good now.
Yes. I hope so.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you are already like few months into this, and then you are comparing, let's say, your first few months of your business time. So this is
Yes,
better for you
exactly.
probably, as per this conversation, probably.
Yes, and one thing I see is I had so much free time then when I started already because it didn't take so much of my time to really study or to learn. In business, a lot of the theory, it's not requiring practice. It's just you need to read it and you know it. So I have much less free time and it's I'm learning more and I think that's better for me.
And you're enjoying it. I guess you wanted challenges probably. So
Yes.
ultimately, you find this challenging and you like challenges, and that's why you like this.
Yes, exactly.
Sure, sure. That's good. I think it's a good clarity thing that you got clear understanding of your liking and disliking in 1 year, rather than spending 2 3 years and then realizing it and then going back to studies again. So at least only
Exactly.
1 year is let's say so-called invested, vested, whichever way you can put it. But it
Yes.
was still a good time to restart maybe after 1 year.
Yes, exactly.
Sure, sure. So now you started this bachelor's in economics. How many classes or how many months have passed so far?
1 month now.
1 month now. And let's say you compare this 1 month of economics with 1 month of your business. How do you see the comparison?
Um, it takes more of my time. It's more difficult. It's already more math, and it takes a lot of practice to get the answer right in the end. So that's one thing that I notice, first of
Yeah.
all. And
And
even in class, I find the class is more serious. The people in my class, the teachers, the learning is more serious than it was for my course previously.
sure, sure. And what's the demographics of your class now versus, let's say, the business class?
I would say when I say international, it's more European international rather than internationally from all across every continent. So a lot of Europeans, because it's cheaper for Europeans, I guess, to study in Europe.
Same thing
Yeah.
was there for business as well as economics, or economics is more versatile than the business, the class demographics?
I think it's pretty much just like the University of Amsterdam demographics. But I have noticed, for example, that my course now, at least I'm speaking of the 20, 30 people in my classroom. There's more Asian people than previously.
Okay, okay, sure, sure, sure. So demographics skewed towards Asia now, to the roots.
For, I guess, economics, because it's more mathematics based, more Indian people are interested. Turkish, for example, I have a lot of Turkish people in my classroom.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And what's your typical day like class start, class end, and breaks, etc.?
So we have lectures on Monday. We have 2 lectures. So I usually attend them online. I watch the videos, and if I go, um, It's I prepare on the train for the lecture. I watch the lecture, I make my notes, I come back and I do like a practice test. And then you have tutorials where you practice more and you learn more in detail with the one-on-one person you can ask questions with. Um, yeah, I think it's attending and then catching up is
So you are
basically how it goes.
commuting every day from The Hague to Amsterdam, or you are like now moved to the college
No,
campus?
have not moved to Amsterdam. I commute. Yes.
And what is this commute time for you every day?
Around 1 hour and 15 minutes.
One way.
Yeah, no, yeah, one way, door to door.
1 hour 15 minutes going, and then 1 hour 15 minutes coming back, and plus let's
Yes.
say 6 7 hours of lectures and other things.
Yes.
So you didn't think about like also shifting to Amsterdam and like staying with your classmates and other things so that you can have more group projects?
If I have a class in the morning, or if I have a group project, I always stay with a friend in Amsterdam. But in terms of moving there, it's very difficult to find housing, and I haven't prioritized it yet. I haven't felt that priority yet that I need to live in Amsterdam because it's incredibly expensive. That's one thing. But also I have my dog and my little sister here, so for me, I'm happy being here with my family. At one point in my life, I'm going to move out, and so I want to cherish the time I'm still with them.
Sure, sure. You're maximizing your the
Yes.
resources that you have.
And also, I'm able to prioritize my studies more this way. I'm not worried because if I move out, I'm going to have to get a job. I'm going to have to pay rent, make food all the time, laundry, groceries. This way, I have more time to focus on my studies.
Correct, correct, correct. What are your future goals? What do you want to do after a few years from now?
I want to work, I think first in a bank. I think I'm gonna go towards finance, but I'm not sure yet. Either like a European bank, like some sort of governmental bank, or um, a commercial bank, and in the end use that to go into World Bank or UN. But I'm looking to grow a career in the bank sector, and then enter into the UN with that.
Any part-time job or internships that you did so far?
No part-time jobs, but I'm currently interning at a business consultancy firm, Bluvium. So I'm a marketing and sales intern. I'm doing that right now. But I wouldn't say any I've never done like a part-time job. My parents have always told me to prioritize my studies in that sense.
So you're doing this economics major, but your internship is in sales and marketing. So you are trying to
Yeah.
just date those subjects also?
So my course is actually economics and business economics, so it kind of still plays into the business factor of the course. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So you are trying. I think these internships will be pretty much, like a trial for you that, okay, you've tried
Yes,
this sales and marketing, etc.
exactly.
That's how you know that, is this something you want to even try in the future or you want to just discard this? So till you don't try,
And
you would not know.
yes, of course.
Sure,
And
sure.
also in this internship, more about just learning corporate culture. And I'm sitting in on board meetings and I'm talking to board members about different things. So more than just the fact that I'm creating marketing and sales content, I'm also learning corporate culture as a whole, which is going to benefit me in the banking sector at the end, you know?
Sure, sure. And you are using LinkedIn a bit.
Yes, I only made my account a couple months ago. So I'm trying to get into the flow of using LinkedIn for when I enter the job market in a couple of years.
And is this also because you are also doing this sales and marketing internship? Does that require your LinkedIn profile or it was just for the future job hunting?
Oh no, I just that was just on, I would have done it anyways. I made LinkedIn well before I even knew I was going to be an intern.
Sure, sure. So coming to the very last question, Drishti, so there would be other people, who are confused like you when they are in their, let's say, whatever school syllabus and they want to decide their bachelor major, right? So like in your case, you decided business and then you changed to economics.
Hmm.
What advice would you give to younger yourself? Like, how could you could have saved 1 year, or others can save that 1 year, because not everyone may be privileged to restart their career like you.
I would say don't run away from what's difficult. That's kind of why I ended up choosing business because everyone was like, it's so difficult, it's so much math. Don't run away from what you think is hard and what is full of math or full of lots of studies. If you're interested in it, it doesn't matter because when you're learning it, it doesn't seem like work anymore. So don't run away from what's hard. That's often where, you know,
The
the
interest
golden
lies.
goose lies. Yes.
Sure, sure. So, Drishti, thank you very much for your time. It was very nice understanding your the path that you took and how you chose your major and how you changed your major after a year. And I think our audience would have learned a bit from this, and so they can also make a wiser decision. And thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you for having me. You too. Bye.
Bye.